Disclaimer: the following program is designed to offend, provoke, and challenge your religious sensibilities. It contains content that will likely offend anyone who holds religion sacred. This is for those with thick skin or a taste for the harsh truth. If you're easily offended or cherish your religious views, please turn off now. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. You have been warned. All right, welcome back to Troll the Verse, the show where divine revelation comes with receipts and where someone's already whining in the comments about how this show is so mean to the Bible. Yes, welcome to the echo chamber. Goodbye. If you're here to drop apologetics, accuse me of bias, or beg for balanced dialogue, let me save you some time. I genuinely don't care. This isn't a discussion. This isn't a theology seminar. The Bible is trash, garbage, and I'm not here to debate that with you. If you're new here, we've got full playlists for Genesis, Matthew, and Revelation. Each one starts at chapter 1 and pulls no punches. Go binge those biblical disasters. And follow us on Twitter at VersatrolYT, where sarcasm goes to church and sets it on fire. And today's demolition, Genesis 23, real estate negotiations over a corpse. Sarah dies at 127, because that's completely normal in the Bible. And Abraham cries for all of 2 seconds before flipping into property investor mode. What follows isn't divine wisdom, spiritual comfort, or moral clarity. It's a painfully drawn-out negotiation for a burial cave. The locals pretend to offer it for free, but everyone knows it's a hustle. There's always a price, because as my grandpappy used to always tell me, nothing in life is free, but this is the Bible's version of, oh, I insist, unless you actually want the thing. So if you came here hoping for theology or inspiration, nope, you're getting receipts, witnesses, and a 400 shekel invoice. Let's troll the verse. A lot of channels skip this chapter because at first glance it seems boring, but it's anything but. It's actually one of the most revealing political chapters in Genesis if you know what to look for. So look who finally got a full obituary. After an entire biblical career of being dragged across deserts, pimped out to foreign kings, nearly erased from her own motherhood story, and used as a divine breeding experiment, Sarah finally dies. And get this, she's the only woman in the entire Bible whose age is recorded. Not Eve, not Rebecca, not even Mary, down the line, just Sarah. Because the only time a woman gets full numerical recognition in Scripture is when she's finally out of the way of the patriarchal narrative. And what's the age? 127, which is totally reasonable, especially for a woman who gave birth at 90 and somehow lived another 37 years. Now onto the location. Kirjath Arba, aka Hebron, which, fun fact, is deep in Canaanite territory. You know, that land God already promised to Abraham in like 4 separate covenant speeches. At this point, Abraham should be able to build a mausoleum wherever he wants, right? Wrong. Because God's real estate plan comes with hidden fees and 0 burial perks. What you should be asking right now is a few questions. Why isn't Abraham burying Sarah on the land Abimelech already gave him? Remember Genesis 21, Beersheba, the treaty, the well, the part where Abraham and Abimelech exchanged 7 lambs so Abraham could claim the land as his? That was literally 2 chapters ago. Did he forget? Did the land expire? Was there a no corpse clause in the treaty? Or ask yourself, was it more important to invent a whole new origin story for Hebron so later Israelites could say, see, our forefather bought this land fair and square, receipt and all. This isn't grief, this is political theater. Sarah dies, and the first response isn't reflection or legacy, it's strategic land acquisition wrapped in biblical sentiment. Get ready, because this chapter is about to spend the next 18 verses trying to make a cave purchase sound like divine destiny. And here we go. Abraham dries his eyes, or pretends to have any moisture left, gets up from his wife's corpse, and immediately slides into real estate solicitor mode, because nothing says, I loved her, like, hey, strangers, got any grave space for sale? Verse 4 is interesting here. It says, a sojourner and a settler, I am with you. What? Wait, what? Let's pause the drama and back up 10 chapters. God promised Abraham this land, repeatedly, loudly, with stars and dust metaphors. He was told to walk through the land because it was all his. Remember Genesis 13:17? For to thee I give it. And now here he is admitting to the locals that he's just a wandering squatter hoping to lease a burial plot. This isn't just irony, it's a full-blown doctrinal faceplant. The guy with the God-given real estate guarantee is out here begging like he's shopping for a timeshare. Then the sons of Heth roll out the red carpet. You're a prince of God. Use any of our tombs, which is ancient Near Eastern for we're being super polite right now, but we're not actually going to give you jack shit. This is performative hospitality 101. Public flattery, zero commitment. They call him Lord and Prince of God, but notice they don't actually offer him ownership. Instead, they say, go ahead, bury your dead in our tombs. So basically, you can use our stuff, but don't get too comfortable. It's like someone letting you crash on their couch, then charging you rent when you ask to leave a suitcase behind. Abraham's promised land is functionally still someone else's backyard, and even after all those divine covenants from God, he's still got to negotiate with locals like a foreigner. So let's recap this spiritual masterpiece here for those of you in the comments that missed it. God says the land is yours. Abraham admits it's not. The locals flatter him but offer zero legal ground. If this is what being God's chosen landlord looks like, I'd hate to see the eviction policy. Abraham rises and bows to the Hittites. This is the guy who supposedly owns the land because God gave it to him personally. But here he is bending over in public like he's asking to borrow a grave in someone else's backyard. And let's just say it clearly for the people in the back. If Abraham really believed this land was his, he wouldn't be bowing. You don't bow to people standing on your property. You don't grovel for a grave on land that supposedly came with a divine deed. Either the promise was a lie or Abraham didn't buy it. Because this isn't how a landowner acts. This is how a guy acts when he knows damn well he owns nothing. Then he starts name dropping, talk to Ephron, son of Zoar, because when you're negotiating ancient real estate, you got to know a guy. And Abraham's got his eye on a very specific plot, the Cave of Machpelah, located right on the edge of Ephron's field, and here's where it gets truly crazy. For full money doth he give it to me. But wait, excuse me, this is the promised land, right? Covenant-bound, angel-certified milk and honey real estate passed down by divine oath, even by God, right? And yet Abraham's out here saying, hey, I'll pay full price, no bargaining, in front of everyone. I don't even want a discount. Please let me pay top shekel. This isn't faith. This is desperation. He's trying to lock in the deed with receipts and public witnesses because he knows the land doesn't actually belong to him. All those divine promises, still just future tense poetry. In real-world Canaan, Abraham is just another wandering tenant trying to secure a burial permit before the Hittites change their minds. Also, clock the phrase here, which is in the extremity of his field. So here comes the package deal trap. This isn't just about a cave anymore, it's about the entire property zone around it. The setup is classic, let the buyer ask for one thing, then upsell him on everything connected to it. It's like trying to buy a shed, and the owner says, well, you'll need the yard too, and the fence, and oh yeah, that goat over there comes with a surcharge. And then there's the phrase that's going to trip up every viewer reading this verse on screen, he giveth to me for full money. No, it's not a contradiction. It's ritualized negotiation language, a polite fiction. Abraham isn't saying Ephron gave him anything, he's saying let's all pretend Ephron is generously donating the cave, but don't worry, I'll still pay full price in front of everyone so there's no confusion about the paperwork later. This is fake charity with a built-in receipt. And that's the theme of the chapter here. Take a divine promise, drain all the magic out of it, and convert it into land acquisition theater. Everyone's playing a part. Abraham bows, Ephron flatters, the crowd watches, and God's covenant gets quietly swapped for a cash payout with witnesses because God's promises don't cover funeral costs. And here he is, Ephron the Hittite, sitting right there in the crowd like this whole thing wasn't orchestrated in advance. He doesn't even wait to be introduced. He just jumps in like, oh, Abraham, my dear friend, I insist, take the land, the cave, the whole thing. It's yours, free of charge. Everyone here saw me say it. It sounds generous, right? Except he absolutely does not mean it. This is textbook ancient flattery as a trap. The performance goes like this. Let me pretend to give it to you in front of all these witnesses so I can name my price after you're emotionally locked in and socially cornered. And Abraham, the man just cannot stop bowing. Verse 12 has him bowing again, publicly, in front of the very people who are pretending he doesn't already own this land by God's decree. See what I did there? Because this is hilarious. Anyway, the optics here are insane. Abraham, heir of the promised land, groveling for a grave like a guy trying to sublet a tomb on Craigslist. Ephron, random Hittite land guy, looking like the benevolent landlord of sacred destiny. And the text goes out of its way to point out, in the ears of the sons of Heth, before the eyes of the sons of my people. So this is making it very clear that this call is being recorded for quality assurance. This isn't casual conversation. This is legal choreography. The writers are practically yelling at you. Witnesses saw it. Everyone heard it. This is binding. This is not a scam. Please believe us. Ephron didn't get swindled. It's biblical CYA, cover your Abraham. Then Abraham cuts through the polite garbage here and gets to the point. Look, I'm not falling for the fake gift bit. Take the money. Let me bury my dead. Abraham is trying to force the sale because he knows exactly what this game is. If he takes the land for free, Ephron can later pull a gotcha and say it wasn't official. But if he pays publicly with everyone listening, the deed is real and the receipts are sacred. The generosity mask finally comes off. Ephron hits us with the most passive-aggressive price drop in ancient history. My lord, please, what is 400 shekels between friends? Go ahead, bury your dead. So pretty much saying, it's only a small fortune. I mean, if you insist. This is Ephron's big, oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept money unless you're offering top dollar, in which case, yes, please, I'll take exact change. 400 shekels. For perspective, that's like asking someone to pay for a plot in the ancient equivalent of Beverly Hills. It's not just a price, it's a power move. He knows Abraham's boxed in. He's mourning, he's in public, and he's already signaled he'll pay anything. And what does Abraham do? Does he counter, negotiate? Say, whoa, hold on a second. Look, I'm burying a body, not buying beachfront property. Nope. He immediately pulls out the full amount and weighs it in public. In the ears of the sons of Heth. Again, let's pause on that phrase. It's been mentioned multiple times in the last section and this section, which he hath spoken of in the ears of the sons of Heth. So, there it is again. The narrator really wants you to know this was a witnessed, transparent, airtight transaction. No funny business, no divine squatter's rights. No God gave it to me, so I took it. They really want you to know Abraham paid in full with the whole town watching. Also, you have to love the detail here, passing with the merchant. That's the Bible's way of saying this was legit legal tender, not some under-the-table shekel swap. They even brought in a certified merchant. Like this was a sacred version of escrow, because nothing says faith in God's promise like hiring a third-party verifier to make sure your funeral cave gets processed correctly. Which brings us to another question. There was a merchant and this whole thing was so thoroughly public. Where's the receipt? You'd think a story that bends over backwards to show how legit the transaction was would have left a document behind. A stone tablet, a sealed deed, something. But shockingly, this notarized miracle cave sale hasn't turned up in any archaeological dig. Not one receipt, not one tablet, not one Ephron signature. Because if there were a receipt, you better believe it would be laminated, framed, and housed in a glass case in every synagogue on earth. Instead, all we've got is this overly theatrical account screaming, look, it was legal, everyone heard it, this was not shady, almost like it was never about a cave, almost like it was a story trying a little too hard to sound like history. Because at the end of the day, the promised land still has a price tag, and apparently it's 400 shekels, plus public humiliation, plus zero proof it ever happened. And there it is. The paperwork closes. The narrator goes full notary public here just to make it absolutely clear that this was a legal transaction, publicly witnessed, done in front of the entire city, and yes, even included the trees, because when you overpay for a grave, you damn well better get the trees. Imagine Abraham walking the perimeter like, wait, do those sycamores come with the deal? I'm not dropping 400 shekels and leaving here without foliage. This isn't just about a cave, it's about drawing a permanent border with trees as the divine landscaping. The text even says it twice. Established are the field, and the cave, and the trees, and the field again. It's the scriptural version of, are you sure you signed all the pages? Initial here, date here, circle which package you want, basic cave or cave plus trees deluxe. And let's not miss this. It says to Abraham by purchase before the eyes of the sons of Heth. So yes, again, just in case you forgot that Ephron didn't donate squat, the narrator underlines it for you. He bought it. He paid. You saw it. Everyone saw it. This was not a divine freebie. We've now had the witnesses mentioned in verses 10, 13, 16, 18, and again in 20. It's like the story is panicking that someone might accuse Abraham of just squatting on Canaanite land and saying, God told me this was mine. And finally, Sarah gets buried. One sentence, no ceremony, no reflection, no theological meaning, just she's in the cave now, great, on to the next chapter. Because this wasn't about Sarah, it never was. This chapter is about justifying ownership of Hebron. Sarah's corpse is just the plot device to make it happen. And the chapter ends by restating the obvious, and established are the field and the cave, to Abraham from the sons of Heth. So again, look, he owns it. We swear it was legal. No one was swindled. The land was purchased, okay? So just to be clear, the promised land, still not his. But hey, he's got a plot with some trees and a cave now, and a receipt no one can find. But before we close the tomb on this saga, let's ask the one question nobody in the crowd at Hebron seemed to raise. Were there even Hittites in Hebron at this time? Probably not. The actual Hittite Empire, the one with armies, chariots, and a capital in Anatolia, didn't really exist yet. And when it did, it was way up in modern-day Turkey, not Canaan. That's about 1,000 kilometers off the map. So, who are these sons of Heth? Best guess? They're either a made-up local tribe or a name someone slapped onto the story way later to make it sound official. Like saying you bought land in Georgia from the Romans. Sure, it sounds epic, but the timeline's cooked. Some scholars try to fix it by saying, well, maybe they were Hittite migrants, which is a cool theory with absolutely zero evidence. Others say, yeah, this was probably written hundreds of years later by someone trying to justify Israelite land claims retroactively, which, let's be honest, sounds a lot more like what's actually happening here. So just to recap, not only is the story desperately trying to prove Abraham legally bought this land, but the people he's buying it from might not have even existed there at the time. Because when the receipts don't exist, the next best thing is writing your own and making sure everyone in town is listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.